Hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevtech here bringing another video on information technology. I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm here with Jeff from Ninja1. So Jeff, I hope you're doing well. How's your day?
My day is great. Yeah, thank you for having me, Kevin.
Awesome. I'm going to put you I'm gonna put you on in the light purposely, like to ask you a question. I'm gonna put you in the front of the line, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at Ninja One and I work as the field CTO there, which means that I do a lot of webinars talking about how to best use Ninja and the value that it brings, make a lot of pre-recorded videos showing, again, what Ninja can do. And I do speaking sessions like this where I get to come out and talk about, managing devices and endpoint management because that's what I did. I've been at Ninja One for about 5 years now, but before that, I worked for over a decade for a movie theater chain, managing endpoints, projectors, servers, sound processors, lighting dimmers, anything with an on-off switch that you can think of. That was my day-to-day for over 10 years. So I have a lot of experience with managing devices, and unfortunately, I have that experience with older tools that are not as neat and cool as something like Ninja One that gives you kind of all these cool features and functionalities that I wish I'd had back in the day.
Awesome. So I wanted to bother Jeff with trying to get us some sort of work or demo for Ninja One, and we have one open right now, right here as we're sharing our screen. For anyone that's brand new to, I guess, brand new to Ninja One, like what exactly is Ninja One, and what does it do, and how does it work?
Yeah, so the concept is that if you work in the IT industry, you have any number of endpoints that you need to manage. And an endpoint could be anything. It could be a typical laptop or a desktop that we're all used to. It could be a server, but it could also be a mobile device. It could be an Android tablet. It could be an iPad. It could be an iPhone. It could be a Google Pixel. Uh, and so the concept is that you need to have a platform that gives you the ability to manage all of these devices. For example, we might want to monitor network devices, so switches, routers, firewalls, all the critical network infrastructure. And so this dashboard that we see right here, it's giving us insight into all of those various device types. And we can see where we have servers that are down, where our integrated antivirus, when we integrate with SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, WebRoot, and Bitdefender Gravity Zone, where a threat has been detected, where we have failed operating system patches, where we have failed software patches, where do we have patches that require approval? If we go in and look at our patches right here, this will show us kind of our overall patch compliance. Most importantly, what patches have failed, or do we need to make some sort of decision on approval? And if we look in here, we're seeing Windows patches, we're seeing Mac OS patches. If I go into a different environment, we would also see Linux patches. And so the concept is that from one single pane of glass, a consolidated view, you're able to see and manage all the different aspects of your devices. You're able to remotely access them via terminal or via screen share. And I think most importantly, you're able to have alerts generated. You're able to automatically patch devices, and you're able to automate at scale across many different devices, which for me is critical because I remember back in the day, it was a lot of manual work. Whenever we had to onboard a new device, it was a lot of installing all the applications manually, configuring the device manually. Steps got missed. And so having the ability to automate things so that I don't necessarily have to follow a very strict set of procedures, you know, that's something to me. I see the immediate value in something like that.
Yeah, I think for me, when I first started using Ninja One, I like the idea that you could remote into people's machines, and also you could remote into their mobile devices. And also the other thing that's really cool is since Ninja One is an all-in-one platform, it also does have a ticketing system. So I did take advantage of that because it does have a ticketing system. I don't have to go into another vendor or company to create a ticket. I literally could just create it in there and then manually add context in there, which is really awesome. And then the second thing that I really like about Ninja One is the KB articles. So a lot of times we have knowledge base articles that we need to write, and you can make it accessible only to your help desk team only, and then they could just see whatever they have to do. So that's really awesome, and those are the two things I like. And then the other thing that I like, which is also great, is you actually could do a scheduled deployment of updates. on certain applications. It's already like you could just create and push out updates, and you have a drop down of all the applications that Ninja One has available. And if you need to update a certain thing inside of Ninja One, you can do it from here. And I think you actually could show us about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here we're seeing kind of the same view that we saw for operating system patches early, but for third-party software applications. And so here, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, VMware tools, we can see that we have patches available, and approving or rejecting, depending on if we want to push the patch, is as easy as we see right here. If you drill down into an organization, it does limit the view that you see. So, say you want to approve for only certain devices within an organization, like Murillo Ventures here. We can drill down into this menu and we'll see only devices in this organization. And when we go to approve patches, we're only going to be approving patches for devices that apply to this org here. And so that's just a really nice handy feature to be able to drill down into specific groups of devices and impact them distinctly from having kind of a one size fits all, only a global method of applying all these various settings.
Yeah, and the other awesome thing is when you go into if you want to get super granular applications, you can, and you could schedule a day and time to install it. Just so you don't, it's the last thing we want to do is piss somebody off and it just does a random update while they're working. So you actually could schedule updates on a timely manner where it doesn't bother them at all, which is something cool that I like about Ninja One.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it's all silent too, so it's happening in the background. There's really an attempt to limit the disruption to the end user. We'd really like them to not know we're there at all. And so in the case of this, we could choose all the applications we want to patch. We do have two repositories. One is a Ninja One repository, and then one is a Winget repository. And the Winget repository has a ton of applications, over 6,000. And that's going to work on Windows workstations and then more modern Windows Server OSs. So 2022 and 2025 will both support this. And then, as you said, in terms of scheduling this, when do we look for new patches right here? When do we actually push the patches in the update schedule here? And then we can also notify the end user. So if you want to have something that says, hey, notify the end user that they have applications that are open that need to close to patch, we can do that. We could automatically close the software. We could also kind of keep hands off, and then we'll just keep attempting to run that patch until we find a time when the device does not have the application in use. Uh, and then to kind of tie a bow on it, sometimes the applications will need to do a reboot in order to finalize the installation. And so right here, if that's required, we can prompt the end user. And you can control how many times you are bothering them. So maybe every 4 hours, maybe they get 2, 3 reminders a day. It doesn't seem too invasive. But then to enforce the reboot, make sure they actually do it, maybe I give them 12 bites at the apple. And if I'm doing the math right there, it gives them about 48 hours to go ahead and reboot their device. And at the conclusion of that, if they haven't rebooted the device, we're just going to go ahead and enforce that on them. Say, hey, you got to reboot now, or your computer is rebooting automatically in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the great good thing about that. And no one likes to reboot their machines. So so it's just, oh man, I gotta reboot my machine now. Oh my goodness. So that's why it's like when you come and do updates on someone's machine, you want to do it like somewhere like on the weekend or somewhere like after work hours, and just don't bother any customers. It's just not ideal for anyone, especially you. You're gonna get yelled at probably by your team members and people in the organization. So
And depending on how interactive you do want to be with your end users, you have some options here to prepare them. So for example, maybe we would want to run a script that presents some sort of message to the end user to prepare them for the fact that updates are going to happen later that day or later in the week, or there's some sort of special action that's going to be taken that they should be aware of. We can go into our automation library here, and there's a tab called the template library. And this is 269 scripts that have been created by Ninja One engineers that are designed to solve common use cases in the IT world. So a great example of this is Windows 11 compatibility. For example, when that first came out, we had a lot of people who wanted to block the Windows 11 upgrade. They didn't want to upgrade inadvertently, and Microsoft was being very, shall we say, insistent that if you were going to install any patch, that patch would upgrade you to Windows 11. And so bringing this script out was a registry modification to prevent that from happening. We also have the undo option there to allow the upgrade. But hey, is the device actually capable of upgrading to Windows 11? So if we click in here, you'll see this script would output, hey, this device is not capable, doesn't have enough storage. Maybe it doesn't have TPM. And so this is a great way to see at scale, can your devices even upgrade to Windows 11? And this is something that writes out into what we call custom fields at Ninja which is exactly what they sound like. They are customizable data fields, and you can populate them with data. That could be done manually via API or most commonly via a script. And so, for example, here I have my local admin's custom field that's populated by a script that retrieves all the local administrators on the device. Now, if we go to a device like this one right here, this is the device level, and this is where we could initiate an action to install an application or run a script, kick off software patching, operating system patching. We can use our remote terminal here to silently impact the device. So anything I do or say in here is not visible to the end user. So this is a great way to operate in the background. And you can see how fast and snappy it is. It's like being at the device. This is still, I've been here 5 years now. This still gets me every single time that this is just like this fast, that I'm able to kind of take all this action in the background, not disrupt my end user. I've got the flexibility of CMD, of PowerShell, system context, logged in user context, 32 or 64-bit, depending on the machine. So for my remote terminal options, I'm set there. But I could also remote into the device. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's connect. And so you can see here, again, nice, snappy. Took about 5 seconds to go ahead and from clicking the button to actually being at the desktop where I can start to take some actions. So here, I don't want to use Edge right now, so let's start without my data. Let's just confirm and continue here. And so this would give me the ability to use all the control options we have up here for different keystroke combinations. In the top left, I could toggle between my various displays, or I could see them all in one window if I wanted to. I would also be able to copy and paste from the clipboard to remotely print a document that's on this device to my own printer here in my office. File transfer, chat with the end user, reboot into safe mode with networking so I can do something like remove an antivirus and still retain my connectivity here. So just really useful to have all of these tools in here and to be cross-platform, to have this across Windows, across Mac OS, across Android, across iOS. Obviously, on iOS, you can't actually click or control anything. They don't allow you to do that, but you can on Android, you can on Mac OS, and of course you can on Windows. And a brand new feature we launched recently is background mode. So the concept here, going back to what we keep talking about, which is you don't want to bother the end user. You don't want to, take them out of their day. So we connect in background mode. And what this is going to do is operate within a silent system session. So we are not going to be seeing what the end user sees here. We are going to be seeing a system session that is completely independent. So the end user, they're still able to operate, they're still able to do what they do. But for me, I'm able to go ahead, open up Firefox, open up CMD, maybe open up the event viewer, take care of some background tasks here without needing to connect in a regular session. And again, kind of fight for the screen with the end user, have to kind of disrupt their day, take them out of their flow. Just a great way to take care of some of those tasks in the background and eliminate that friction point there. That friction between technician and end user that does occasionally occur.
Yeah, I remember when I first met the CEO of Ninja and he showed me the product of Ninja I really liked it. It has come a long way from when I first had it or when I first looked at it from a demo perspective. And the really awesome thing about Ninja that anyone that's watching today or anyone that's gonna watch this video is to understand that Ninja is also cybersecurity compliant. So what I mean by that is also SOC 2 Type 2 compliant and ISO 27001 compliant. So if you're gonna do an audit, and I'm not sure if you could show us that now, but like maybe later on, but like just show us like because sometimes when you do audits, they do want samples and reports of machines and things like that. So I would like to see that, not now, but like at some point you could show us how that works because we have to give out those reports to the auditors and obviously They want everything, including samples, including that you're doing patch management and things like that. So those things are very important.
Yeah, definitely. And of course we have a trust page that kind of attests to our SOC 2 compliance, our ISO 2701 or 2000. Yeah, I always get that number wrong. Our ISO compliance, and then all of our other compliances depending on your region. So if you're in Europe, for example, we're compliant with GDPR, of course. Uh, and then yes, of course, the need to then report on the actions the platform is taking that auditors often care about. So, for example, what patches have been installed over the previous month is a really good one here. And to go back to your point earlier, one about knowledge base, this is actually something that I personally like to do, which is use our Ninjaone API to retrieve information from the Ninjaone API. In this case, what patches have been installed, and then create reports from that. So in this case, I'm using the Ninjaone API to create this table view that we have here. And the benefit of this is that this is something that gets updated on a daily basis. My end user could then go ahead and log into the system. It might look a little something like this. This is what the end user view looks like. What we were looking at earlier is the system administrator view. And if I go into my knowledge base here, you'll see that I have the ability to see these different resources. So right here, resources for everyone. Maybe I want to see a guide on automation setup right here. And so this is a great way to take information and give it out to your end users so they have access to it. And so in my case, I might give them access to this patching report and they're able to not remote in, but log in every single month and they're able to see all the patches that were installed. Now you have other options as well. We could go into the reporting section here and we could instead pull out a patch compliance report. And this patch compliance report could be emailed out. So instead of logging into Ninja we can just deliver this right to their email inbox and let them know on device patch compliance. Let me pick a different organization here. But on device patch compliance right here, if there's any failed patches for operating systems or for third-party applications, kind of where do we stand in terms of patch percentage? Right now, we're not doing too good here. We've got 13 installed patches, but then we have 13 that are pending that require approval where we haven't made a decision yet. And so this report is going to reflect what you haven't done. What are those nails that are sticking out that you need to hammer down in terms of patching?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to see because they ask for samples, and typically you have to show the company that you're compliant and obviously with Ninja as well, there are other things in there that you could look at as well as far as devices, reporting, assets. Um, Sometimes what people think is that when you set up Ninja or you set up any type of tool like Ninja, they think that we're able to see everything, which we're not. We're able to only see the device only in the software that they have installed, and that's it. Like they think we're able to see what they're sending out, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. We're not allowed to do any of that or see any of that. So yeah,
That's a great point.
and for me, from what I use Ninja when one of the companies I worked at, we use Ninja to combine it with Intune. So I had Intune set up where Intune with the onboarding process, Ninja would just install automatically on the back end. I don't have to do anything, and then I can just seamlessly control the application because it's already installed on the back end using Intune. So that's my experience, and I also set it up with uh Android devices and then Apple Enterprise Business. So I set it up for those two devices, and yeah, it's not complicated. And there are apps there that for MDM mobile device management. You could set it up on the back end and just set up. It's pretty seamless, and you can also remote into people's mobile devices too if you want to. That is capable. That is a capability of Ninja, which I like because sometimes you work with customers that are not tech savvy, and especially when you're working with executives or C-level folks, they don't know how to set up MDM or they don't know how to download an installation of an application. You just remote in right away and fix it for them. So
Yeah, and the goal here, with really any sort of device type, any Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS device type, is that we're able to manage it throughout the whole life cycle of the device. And so iOS and Mac OS is a great example of that. Because right here we have our Apple Business Manager integration. You can integrate multiple ABM accounts if you're a managed service provider. And then The idea is that you're able at the point of purchase to enroll that device in Apple Business Manager, and then the automated device enrollment, as the device is set up, it's going to automatically funnel that device into your MDM server, which would in this case be Ninja One. And you're also able to integrate content tokens like apps and books tokens here. And as the device joins Ninja One, it automatically receives a policy. And inside this policy, this is what is going to configure the passcode settings of the device, the restrictions on device functionality, like maybe they can't send SMS messages, maybe they can't AirPrint, and then what applications get pushed. And so if we come in here, we might use an apps and books token. We might use something from the public app store. So let's go ahead and find something like Outlook here. Search for that. And so right there, Microsoft Outlook. Let's go ahead and force this to be installed, but you'll see that I could also go ahead and block applications from being used. And so when we add that in here, I now have this as a managed application that we're pushing to this device. And I also have the ability to add in managed application configurations here to more distinctly control the settings of a particular application. And then we also have settings on proxy settings, on SSID profiles we want to push to the device, location tracking. So where is the device, giving you both the current and historical location of where this device has been, any mobile config files, custom payloads that you want to push to the device. And then most importantly, patching. We saw this earlier, the ability to have all of your devices in this platform and patch them. And so in this case for iOS, we might say, hey, let's let them do the lowest available update. Let's not allow them to install beta versions. Let's delay up to 90 days OS patches being installed so that we can take control and the end user is not having to install them themselves. So we can control all of these settings here right down to manually enforcing updates and saying, hey, you need to be on this version of iOS and you need to be on it by this particular date and even this particular time. And so this gives you that real granular enforcement over ensuring that your devices are on the right version and they're being patched and they are being secure. And even though we're looking at this from the Apple perspective right now, very, very similar with Android. You can see here our Android mobile policy, very similar settings over here. Down here, we would have I believe the policy, or no, the security setting here. And then right here is where we would do those system updates. Android works a little bit differently because they are a more diverse manufacturer ecosystem than Apple is going to be. But we could say, let's go ahead and do updates on an automatic basis. I generally recommend a windowed basis, just because on an automatic basis, that could cause unexpected reboots in the middle of the day. So a windowed time frame for me, I think, is less disruptive to end users.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. So like this is why I tell everyone like you look at Ninja One, it's like a lot of stuff. It's crazy with Ninja One. But I think there's I don't remember if there's an option for Active Directory somewhere on Ninja One. I'm trying to remember if there is. I think there is.
There is. Yeah, yeah. So you can see we have an Active Directory server right here. And where I'm at is actually called the devices menu. This is kind of your central command center, shows all of your devices, and then we can narrow down to see what we care about. And for example, maybe I only want to see Windows devices. So Windows desktops, laptops, servers. I can see I have 14 of those currently in this system. Maybe I want to see ones that are only online connected to Ninja. And then I can also use all these additional filters here. So for example, Active Directory controllers. Hey, only have the one in here. And then I have the ability to check the box next to it and take actions. And so I could create a ticket. I could tag this device. I could change the device role. For example, I've already created a custom device role to treat this as an AD server. But if I hadn't done that already, I could go ahead and do that there. Uh, and then we have the run option, and this is where we start taking actions on the device. And so this, again, could be running a script, installing an application. It could be kicking off patch cycles. But down here at the bottom, we have the discovery component. And so this is where we could set up either a one-time or recurring discovery job to go ahead and deploy to specific OUs. So right here, I'll select this domain or this OU and then make it recursive to find any computers that are in subdirectories here. And then I can go ahead, continue on, add in my domain admin credentials, and deploy to these devices. This is an ad hoc, so this is only one time. I could do a recurring scheduled discovery job, and this is going to find any new devices and deploy to them as well. So it gives you the ability to do it over time and not just a manual action you have to do anytime you want to find new devices. Now, obviously, on-prem AD starting to go away. So we are hard at work on an Intune integration. And so I think we hope to see that in an early access phase in Q3. And so that would give you the ability to see what you have in Intune and just easily automatically deploy through Intune, making it a little bit easier. I know today you mentioned you're using Intune, so it's absolutely possible to do that today. This just makes it, a little bit easier and gives you that automatic discovery option. That would be a little bit more convenient.
Yeah, I think I emailed Ninja when I asked about that, about the Intune, and because I know everything is going to the cloud now, so I was asking questions about that. And it said, yeah, they said they say either Q3 or something like that. They told me the same thing because I was asking about it. 'Cause I was curious because obviously Active Directory is still around, but now we have Intra ID and things are slowly changing. So you have to obviously adapt to these changes. And yeah, and on like the overview dashboard, there's a lot of, like you said before, there's a lot of stuff here. You could see the computer idle time, last log. It's like a lot. You can pull out a report for a specific machine if you want to. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you already have pre-made templates. If you're trying to do like if you're trying to run a report, you already have pre-made templates. Some pre-made templates are inside the reporting option, from what I saw last time.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you can target either all of your devices or target by organization, especially if you're an MSP, you would want to target by organization to avoid that cross-pollination of device data. And then from a template, it could be a regular report, which gives you a lot of details about what alerts have triggered, what remote access sessions have been executed. Then we have the executive summary and the management summary, which are very high level views. That's your C-suite report right there. That's the bird's eye view. You're not going to read past the first page. We have the asset summary, so all of our inventory, patch compliance, which I showed off earlier. If you're using Ninja Backup, you have the ability to report on what devices are being backed up and how much space they're consuming, what licenses they're consuming in terms of either image backup or document, file and folder backup. And then if you're using Ninja ticketing, we also have the ability to report on some of your common KPIs, like how many technician touches there are, how long people are taking to solve tickets, who's solving tickets the faster, what the mean time to close looks like. And so that's all something that you can report on here and have sent out on a regular basis. But I would also, again, recommend the API, which is great for creating custom reports, custom automations, really tailoring Ninja to work within your ecosystem if you have kind of very rigid workflows that you're using today.
And just out of curiosity, how simple and easy is it to set up Ninja One on a machine? Like how easy is it? Like how seamless is it?
Incredibly easy. Go to the plus sign, you go to device. At this point, most people, they're generating a Ninja agent. So we would do the top option here, a computer. And at this point, we generate an installer. And so for Windows, right there, I have my installer. I can copy that link and use that within a script if I wanted to deploy the Ninja agent. I could also download the MSI itself and then use that through something like Intune. We have instructions on how to set that up through Intune that are in our dojo, which is accessible in the top right here. You'll see the dojo/help center. And if you search for Intune, the very first thing is an article that I wrote. So you will see that right here on how to deploy through Intune today. So that's a nice handy feature there. And the same applies for Linux. You can see here, we can generate our installer. This could be Debian, it could be RPM. We've got a bunch of supported distros for Linux. And then for Mac OS, it's a little bit different because Apple obviously has the preference that you manage their devices through MDM pathways. And so while we have a Mac OS agent, if you're starting from scratch with Mac OS, I would recommend enrolling in MDM either manually right here using a QR code, which you can see like this, or sorry, an MDM profile that I would download. The QR code is for the iOS devices.
Mhm.
And so I could enroll on the device. I could enroll through Apple Business Manager like we saw earlier. And when you enroll in this way a macOS device, you get the MDM pathways, but it also automatically installs the Ninja One agent. And so that gives you the best of both worlds. You're able to do all of your device configurations using the MDM methods that Apple prefers, which includes the ability to patch the device, while also getting all the cool Ninja One agent stuff that gives you the speed, the real-time alerting, the real-time automations, the software patching, the ability to remotely access the device, to use the remote terminal sessions that we saw earlier. That is all going to be supported by the Ninja One agent. And so you can see in the policy section, which is kind of the engine that makes Ninja go, we have our conditions, our automations, the antivirus we might want to deploy to this group of devices, software that we want to patch on Mac OS, what we want to back up, what warranties we want to track here, and then all of our MDM settings. And so this is where we are going to define passcode restrictions, device restrictions on functionality, exactly what we saw on iOS earlier, just applied to whatever is specific to macOS. And again, same ability here to control your OS updates, to deploy privacy preferences, system extensions, custom payloads, which is really going to smooth the friction on macOS when you deploy software. As anybody who's managed Apple devices knows, if you deploy something like a CrowdStrike, it's going to have 5 different permissions that you need to authorize in order for all that stuff to actually function. And using an MDM, you're able to bypass all of that. You're able to go ahead and deploy these custom payloads to ensure that the kernel extensions and everything that's required for CrowdStrike, they're in place and the end user isn't having to go and approve a bunch of stuff. There's not drag on the help desk by having to contact them and say, hey, is this legit? Should I actually do this or not? And so overall, you end up with a more streamlined process that reduces load on the help desk, so you can focus on more of the things that actually require important attention.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Is there anything that you want to show us that's pretty cool? Like maybe something that you worked on yourself or created here on this tab?
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to show you what macOS looks like just because the experience is very similar across, Android, iOS, Mac OS, Windows devices, Linux devices. You get this view here. You get the ability to use terminal to remotely access the device to take actions. Now, in terms of one thing that I really love, it's custom fields. I am a huge, huge fan of custom fields. We saw those earlier, and I wanted to show the experience of what that actually looks like on the device. We can see our custom tab right here. You can group your custom fields together so that they make sense and it's not just one big page. So in this case, I have my default fields that are present on this device, like what version of PowerShell are they using? And then what was the last check disk output? What was the last SFC output here? Generally, how often is the device online? Looks like it's on pretty frequently, 100% of the time. What users are present here? And then I can take this information and more information and create something more specific. So right here, what's my service account name? Right here, what's the password? You can see this is a secure field. It's hashed out. And so what I need to do to reveal it, right there, I can see what my password is. I can copy that, and then I can jump into a remote access session and use that to log into the device while not having this exposed in plain text. You can see this will go back to being hidden in about 7 seconds. And then other information here, local admins. I've got a workflow set up that is actually checking for who is an unauthorized administrator on this device. So I know who is an administrator, and then I am essentially creating an allow list of usernames who are admins. And if I find somebody who's an administrator on a device who isn't in my allow list, hey, you go right there and you are an unauthorized admin. That would create a ticket. I could even have an automated response to disable that user programmatically and even force them to log off. So that is an example of how you can use custom fields to create these workflows that could be unique to your situation and your scenarios, and really customize and mold the Ninja One platform to meet what you need it to do. And so that's why this is, I think, my favorite feature. Is it just gives you so much capability, so much functionality here to display stuff. I love these WYSIWYG fields that we see right here. So we can do custom HTML formatting to take a lot of dense data, like this file tree size report, and present it very easy in a very easy to understand manner. This right here is showing me where I have folders that are consuming the most space, so that if I get a low disk space ticket, I'm not having to hunt and look for things. Where are they? This information is already present, up to date. Again, streamlined workflows. You're not running into a bottleneck. Uh, that is kind of our whole goal here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, is there anything that you have, Jeff? Like, I don't wanna expose anything, but I'm just wondering, is there anything like you're excited about in the pipeline coming from Ninja One that you're super excited and you would be like, oh man, I can't wait for this thing to come out. And I'm not asking you to tell me what actually is coming up. I'm just asking.
No, I mean, I already mentioned one of the things, which is the Intune integration. I think that's going to be a huge benefit, a huge value add. I am also a big fan of a new feature that we recently launched for Ninja One ticketing. And I might have to go into a different environment here. Yeah, sorry, I'll have to sign into this real quick.
Yep, no worries.
And so this is a new feature in our ticketing platform that allows you to customize the look and feel of the email templates. I think this is incredibly important to the trust and the interaction between the help desk and between the end user. And so if we look at our templates here, you'll see that I can have one template for when a ticket is closed. What does that appear to be? And in this case, I've added in some kind of survey here using all this custom HTML so that I get a very nice looking template. Same deal if we look at something where a ticket has been opened. You can see here I'm able to include all of this information. I can customize how it looks. And then what we do with this information is we come in here and we look at our notifications and we say, hey, if you're an end user or contact, whenever a ticket is created, I want you to use this particular template so you get this particular look and feel. And so I'm really excited about this feature because I think it brings something that a lot of people have wanted for a long time with Ninja One ticketing. And it's something that's it gives you the ability to be very visually distinctive, which I think is a huge benefit in the IT endpoint management space.
Cool. This is really cool. Yeah, I like this feature. This is awesome. So, Jeff, is there anything else you'd like to show us, or that you think it's good to know for everyone that's watching today?
Yeah, I'll end on this note. This is another really cool feature that we have coming out in the 9.0 release, but it is our first AI feature. It's called
Hey,
Patch
AI.
Intelligence AI. You knew we couldn't get through a whole recording without talking about AI in some way.
Yes.
Uh, but you can see right here, this is our first feature. We call it Patch Intelligence AI. It is designed to take both internal data and publicly available data and to scrape that data and find out where patches are having issues and easily surface that to a technician so that they can make intelligent decisions about deploying their patches. So if we go into this section here to approve our operating system patches, uh, you can see that well, let me go into a different environment here. If we go into this section here, you'll see that we have this KB analysis column. And so right here, we can see this KB has known issues. If I click on this, I'll get a little modal here that tells me about the patch, the general sentiment, which we can see appears to be mixed down here. What the issues are, looks like we're seeing a lot of failures. This update was previously installed in October 23, got pushed again in March of 2024. So a lot of issues here. And this is, again, designed to take information that might be kind of difficult to find normally and then surface it. So it's just nice and easily visible within the portal. Now, in the 9.0 release, what's very cool is that you can actually have this manage your patching almost entirely. So for Windows patches, right here, maybe we are going to automatically approve our critical security updates here. Maybe we're going to also approve critical updates, but we're going to give it about a week of a grace period to ensure that the patch doesn't cause problems. Then down here, I turn on Patch Intelligence AI. As we're auto approving a patch up here like this, when we have a known issue or when we have a caution flag, we take the automatic approval back and we move it into a manual state so that a technician needs to go and actually manually approve it. So you can go ahead and actually have your Windows patches, managed through Patch AI. And when there are known issues, it's going to go ahead and undo that automatic approval before it gets deployed. And so this is just an incredibly nice guardrail to pop up so that I have something that is installing patches, but when we have issues, we know there's problems, we're going to go ahead and undo that approval, and a technician can then come in and say, hey, all right, using my expertise, I'm going to decide whether or not we push this patch or whether we hold off until next month or whatever. You're able to make that strategic decision. Um, and so I just am a huge fan of this feature because it is involving AI in your endpoint management in what I think is an intelligent way that is going to be less likely to cause disruption long term. It's looking to eliminate the disruption, not potentially introduce more by taking an action that we wouldn't support or expect. We want to be transparent with how this works.
Yeah, that is awesome. I didn't know that you even well AI is gonna be everywhere, even in Ninja One, so cannot avoid it. But that's really great information. So for the audience watching today, we saw all the buttons you click, all the bells and whistles, all the cool gadgets Ninja One has. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we go, I guess?
I would just say that what you've seen here, I have been playing fair. This is the exact same production tenant that anybody else would be using. The speed that you saw, that's not faked. That is real. And I rely on it every day when I do demonstrations like this to actually work. And so I would encourage anybody who hasn't used Ninja One before to go ahead and give it a try and see what that speed looks like and feels like in your day to day. I have managed endpoints. I did it for over a decade. That speed mattered to me. And still today, when I see how fast Ninja One is, I see the value in that. I appreciate it. I see how it would be beneficial to anybody who's managing endpoints. So yeah, I would say check out the speed and stay for the flexibility and the capability of molding the platform to meet your own individual needs and workflows.
Thank you, Jeff. I greatly appreciate it. I'm hoping to have you again at some point on my YouTube channel. I greatly appreciate all the insights and informations, all the back end stuff, all the cool stuff that's coming up. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Ninja One, so I appreciate you for demonstrating some stuff for me. And yeah, and that's it.
Thank you
Um,
very much for having me, Kevin. I'd be happy to return.
yeah, sounds good. And thank you guys for watching. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Take care, everyone.